As it currently stands, the dbrand Killswitch is probably one of the most hyped Switch accessories available. A lot of people have been looking for it, and after a pretty rocky release, it's finally available for anyone to get with relative ease. I got mine about 2 weeks ago, and I wanted to hold off on making a video just to get a real good test on it. Today I'll be talking about every part of the Killswitch, discussing whether you should buy them individually, and lastly, having a little bit of a buyer's guide for anyone who's looking to purchase one. So without further ado, I might as well get started with talking about the Killswitch. I think firstly the best place to start with probably the mostly sought after item as of right now is the grips, and I'm gonna be honest, they're actually very good and I've been very impressed with them. So I guess I'll start by just guiding through like the texture and holding them and giving you just my direct thoughts on these. I'll detach one, but they're very comfortable. They have this very grippy like material, it's very tactile, very like it feels like you kind of feel it like dotted and textured, but it's not very aggressive. It's a bit firm, the material. You're getting these kind of rubber like things on the side. These feel pretty decent. You don't really feel them when you're playing, but you can kind of rub your finger against them. You get this very aggressive like trigger shape that I've discussed. Goes right around the hand, loops around. You're getting that kind of like edge right here. It's a very nice shape. As I said in my last video, I really like it when grips have the palm rest. This doesn't really have one, so that's one little drawback I'd mention about these. But they are really nice. Other than that, like I'll hold it right here, but it kind of just wraps perfectly around my hand. It's pretty comfortable. I've honestly just been playing with just these grips to get a good feel for them, to know what to say about them, and I've been a really big fan. They fit nice in the hand. They're pretty comfortable to use, honestly, just in general. And even for stuff like, if you play tabletop with someone or you need to give someone a Joy-Con, this feels nice to use it like this. I've tried mouse mode, and that's honestly pretty nice. I mean, obviously, I'm in Pokemon Violet. You don't get that in this game, but the mouse mode feels good. Your finger kind of wraps perfectly, like, around this still, so then you're getting, So it does feel like a very unique shape that feels molded perfectly to the Switch, too, for all of its, like, modes and customizations. I would really recommend these overall. They're also lightweight, which I really like. These are probably one of the most recommendable grips, if not probably the most recommendable. They're a good shape. They're very lightweight. The only thing is no palm rest, really. Like, as I've talked about the grips. If you want palm rest, I'd say look for, like, I think the JSaw split case has them. I know the Satisfy Zen grip is another popular one. That one you don't get detachable Joy-Cons, so you might want to pick and choose accordingly, but overall, these are really good. If you're just looking for the Joy-Cons, you don't care about the rest of the Killswitch, this is a very good deal for $20. They also have the drill lock now, which I guess I could also mention. Let me just put this back on. And these are really nice. I could hold it with one hand. They don't come off. This one seems to be less. I will say I've noticed, like, when upside down, it's a bit less, resilient to falling. Like if I just whoop and I do this, let me just, whoops. Editor me coming in right now, but I was honestly a little shocked when this happened, because before this my Killswitch hadn't detached like this. So I'm sorry for kind of making that part of it a little awkward, but I did do a bit more testing, and this doesn't seem to really happen that often. It hadn't happened to me up until I did it, and I got this in September 10th, and I was recording on the 24th, so about 2 weeks, give or take. I'm still not sure why I did it, but like, I can very much see this being a reason you don't get the Killswitch, honestly. Although I will say, I haven't had it happen to me. As long as you're holding the slightest amount of pressure and having, a hand on the screen or something, this doesn't happen. Like, I can't name this the last time I had my Switch up, like, upside down and, was holding it with one hand and it dropped. Like, that just doesn't happen. Holding it upright, there's no issues. Like, I'm doing it right now. Maybe you can hear the creaking in the background of just me holding my Killswitch. Maybe you don't. But no issues in that regard. So, as I said, yeah, sorry, this is a little bit like of a tangent, but just want to come in and clarify for that. So, yeah. So next up would be the Thumbsticks. These come with, I believe, the travel kit, or you can buy them for $10. They're pretty decent. They're a very aggressive texture. They're kind of, just very like textured. I don't even know how to describe it. They're just very like rough, and it's good though. It's kind of weird to say, but it is pretty comfortable. It gives a nice, like, I didn't like the thumbsticks, like, before I even went for grips, I went for thumbsticks, but these are really nice. Are they $10 nice though, considering you could buy them separately? In my opinion, not necessarily. they're kind, you could definitely get better ones for $10. Like the Savage Raven ones, you're getting 3 for the same price, and they're still on sale for $10. At this point, it genuinely might just be a marketing thing. But it's working. But those are more of a softer, like very kind of like rubbery texture. These are more aggressive and firm and feel a lot different in that regard. They're pretty good, but as I said, unless you really don't like the Savage Raven ones, I would recommend getting these on their own. But if you get them as part of a bundle, they're pretty good. Next up's the case, and I actually really like the case. It's very protective feeling for the Switch. Like I think I could probably drop this, and I really don't think it'd break it. Whoops. I'd imagine it feels sturdy. It feels very bulky and protective, which I like. Something else like that I don't really see people talking about is just the way it kind of matches the outline of the Switch. Like it looks really neat to have like this little outline that the grips give them, but then also this outline from the case. One thing I wasn't a fan of was that there's adhesive, kind of required since it puts it on. I just kind of cut it away and just didn't use it. So at least, if you're looking for that might be a drawback for you. Mine isn't attached. It tugs a bit at the bottom. I'll kind of tug now. It's not that tuggy. Like it kind of just stays in place, and it doesn't really come off during gameplay. It doesn't come off when I put in the travel cover. So no issues in that regard. And I do really like that for that. But the case is good. I think it's one of the few things with the Killswitch that you cannot buy individually. So, if you like something protective, this is pretty good. I'll be talking about the dock adapter next, but that might be an issue for you, and I'll touch more on that. But as I said, unless you need something protective, you could probably skip this and just pick up accessories individually. But if you want something protective and you like having the whole Killswitch, then the case is really nice. So next up is the dock adapter, which I'm actually a decent fan of. It actually kind of took me by surprise. I didn't know if I'd really enjoy the idea of it or not, but it is pretty cool. It's this little piece that kind of goes into the dock, and then, so that way the Killswitch is still dockable despite not fitting in the dock itself. Mine works. I've heard some people saying they've had issues with them. Personally, I haven't. I'll show a picture of it working on screen right now, of it docked to my computer. But it works pretty good. I like it. It's a pretty neat solution in my opinion. It does come with like little stoppers now. I think before there were issues with people like wanting to take it out using one hand and it just wouldn't. But they have built-in like little like friction pads on the actual dock adapter now that keep it in place. I've had no issues with that. Sometimes it pulls a bit, but it kind of goes back into place right away. It's definitely not stuck in place. So for example, maybe you have a relative or you have someone or a friend who doesn't have the Killswitch, but you want to bring your Killswitch and dock it. You could just easily pull it out and bring it, which I also can see being a drawback since it does kind of force you to put it in the dock adapter. You can't just dock it in anyone's Switch. So maybe that's a drawback for you, and maybe why you consider going for maybe some accessories and skipping the case overall. So yeah, overall, I like the dock adapter. I think it looks really neat. I think it gives a bit of a premium touch to the Killswitch and just makes it look like a, cool little display item while you're playing docked. If you have family, if you have friends, if you have relatives who have the Switch and they don't have the Killswitch, you're gonna have issues docking it, so maybe you skip it for that reason. But if that's not an issue for you, then I actually like the dock adapter. I'm not sure really how much of an unpopular opinion that may or may not be. The last major piece of the Killswitch that's really left to discuss is the dock adapter. The next major piece of the Killswitch left to discuss is the travel cover, which I'll just show you right now. I actually like this travel cover. I was a big fan of the Genki one, if you remember from my last video that I discussed how it was kind of slim and just fit in a bag very slimly. I thought that was pretty good. This is a very nice material. It's very protective. Like I feel like I dropped my Switch and nothing would happen to it. I could throw it in a bag and nothing would happen to it. It's very protective. If you'll recall from my last video, I didn't like how the JSON one, it had crate and cart holders like this one does, but they were a bit too pressured and like hard to get out. These just kind of pop out like that with ease, and then they go back in. And then similarly this one, so they do come out much easier. This whole thing actually comes out too, which I think is pretty cool. I haven't really used it, but maybe you get more than one of these. Maybe you kind of mix and match which games you put in, and maybe you pick which ones go in here, which ones you kind of just bring separately. But yeah, let me just turn off my Switch real quick and I'll show you what it looks like to actually put it in this cover. But you kind of just pop it in, you kind of slide it over, and you get this nice little like string that kind of attaches. I like this too, honestly. It keeps it nice in place, but it also kind of adapts. So if you're not using this cover piece, but you have the travel cover, it'll still kind of mold to the, it'll still tug and actually, protect the Switch. So regardless of how thick or thin you're putting something in, it's always going to protect it, which I think is a pretty cool plus about this travel cover. Overall, though, I think for a travel cover, I'm not too sure I'd recommend you go and buy this by itself. It is around $25, and you can definitely get protective stuff for cheaper. If you want something really thin, then go for it. But if that's not something you care about, then you could definitely look elsewhere, in my opinion. And then lastly, just as one little bonus side note, since I got the Killswitch from Best Buy, it doesn't come with the skin and the screen protector, so I unfortunately can't review those. I didn't really care for the skins, and I already have a screen protector, so I didn't really need either of them. But if you have them and you think they're either good, they're bad, they're meh, let me know in the comments. You could start a discussion on those, and I definitely, feel free to leave anything, and I'll check it out, and, I'll share what you have to say with anyone who finds it important for their own purchase. I think a common question that's going to develop since the Killswitch is available at 2 places will be, should I order through Best Buy or should I get it through dbrand themselves? And to answer that question, I think you're best off going through dbrand if you care about only getting certain accessories of the Killswitch and don't want a specific bundle, or if having a skin is really important to you, or the screen protector. However, I think Best Buy is also a really good option if you want the full Killswitch and you don't really care so much about a screen protector or the skins, and you just want it really quickly, considering that you can likely get it either the day of or within a couple days following your Best Buy purchase. So now I'm on the dbrand website, and I guess I'll discuss just generally like how you should go about buying if you're considering the Killswitch and want to order through dbrand themselves. Starting with this essential kit, I don't know if I'd really recommend this, to be honest with you. I don't like the idea of getting like no travel cover. You can add it on and save it, somehow it actually ends up being more than just going for the travel kit. So you end up saving a bit more money. So I don't really see much of a reason to buy the essential kit. The only, I guess, caveat is if you have a case for your Switch and for a fact that it'll fit in, or if you just don't leave the house enough to justify even needing a case in the first place. So the essential kit I wouldn't really recommend, but again, maybe there are some like niche use cases where it is actually the best buy for you. Next up, the travel kit. I think this is probably easily the most recommendable of the bunch. You're getting the travel cover, you're getting the stick grips, you're getting just the Killswitch, the grips, the skin, all the good stuff. The only things you aren't getting is the screen protectors, which, again, there's a very good chance you probably got those day one, just considering how important some people find those to be. Maybe unless you just happen to be getting your Switch and you're getting a grip with it, And then you could opt for either an extra set of Joy-Lock grips if you need those, or an extra set of the game card holders if you happen to have a lot of physical games. But I think overall, this is probably going to be the kit that I recommend the most to someone who just wants the Killswitch and wants all of it, but they don't want to get a bundle, or they want to get a bundle. Lastly, this Ultra kit, I don't really see much value in this, honestly. The only thing I see this being good is if you need a screen protector, whether you don't have one, or you're getting a Switch and you're also buying the Killswitch to have it with it when it arrives. Even then, I'm pretty sure you could probably get screen protectors for cheaper and save a bit of money. I'm not really sure how good or bad these dbrand ones are, so unfortunately I can't comment on those, but maybe you'll look to get everything in one place and then you end up getting the screen protectors. But again, I'm thinking that if you have a Switch, there's probably a decent chance that you already own a screen protector, and in that case, I don't think you really need this. And lastly, I think a final thing worth discussing with just this buyer's guide, as I call it, is the fact that you can actually customize what you're getting with the Killswitch. So if you scroll down a bit on this page where you're buying it, if you click right here, I don't need the case, and I'll let this load, you get to this little page here where you can actually just pick and choose what you get. The only things you won't be getting are the case, the dock adapter, and like the little kickstand protector. Which, if those are important for you, then definitely consider looking into the full case bundle, but some people might not need them because they already have a case or they just don't want one. So you could go here and you could actually buy the skins. They're $15, but for some people they might not want those, or they're just trying to get the bare bones minimum. So you can actually click off and then get rid of them. I think a general bundle, if you want to save money and you just want like the bare bones essentials without the grip, would probably be the travel cover and the Joy-Locks. You're getting those for about $45. I think that's actually a pretty good deal. This is a very high quality protector. As I said, my Switch feels very safe in here. And these Joy-Lock grips are very comfortable. I think these are probably easily like one of the most recommendable grips just in general for how light they are, for how comfortable they are. The fact that they fit well for, using a tabletop play with multiple players at once or using them in mouse mode. So overall, this is a pretty good deal, very premium items. You could also have the stick grips. I think, they're pretty nice. I would recommend these if you're going for them. They add another $10, but maybe you go look elsewhere, maybe not. It's up to you. And then if you need screen protector, again, I don't know if you need it or not. There's an extra game card holder. However, you do get one when you buy the travel cover, so unless you need more than one, you'd add these. And then if you happen to really want the grips, those add this whole bundle right here equally is pretty much equal to the to getting just the Killswitch. So in my opinion, if you just want these 3 things, you're best off just paying the extra couple cents and grabbing the full Killswitch bundle, since you're basically spending the same amount of money but getting all, or no, actually that's a lie. Oh my god, you're actually not getting the travel cover. So if you really want like the bare bones and you don't need the cover, or you have another one, this is a decent deal. But I think that's pretty much everything for this whole like buyer's guide, so I guess I'll move on to the outro. So to conclude, I think it's worth going back to the question I proposed in the title of the video, which is the dbrand Killswitch really worth the hype? And to be honest, I think that yeah, it really is worth the hype. I think honestly it's probably going to remain a top tier Switch 2 item. It's very protective, it looks very premium, it's just overall a very recommendable item. I think overall this will probably be like the easiest grip and just general case to recommend to anyone who's looking for one. It's expensive, but if it's in your budget or you could save up to get one, I think it's probably easily the most recommendable one just because of how it manages its pros and cons and stuff. The only major case where I can maybe see it being less recommendable is if you happen to have pretty big hands and you feel like the Killswitch might be a little less accommodating for those really like big hands and you want something like very round and grippy. I think in that case you might either want to look to the JSaw split or the Genki attack vector, because those generally feel built for big hands and just have more palm space and just places for your hand to rest. If you're okay with not having detachable Joy-Cons, you also might want to look into the Satisfy Zen Grip. I've heard so many people vouch for them. I personally haven't had one, so I can't vouch for it, but if you have and you think it's a fantastic grip, then feel free to comment that, because, it definitely helps people to know what's really good and what isn't. So, I probably will be taking a break from grip discussion for the foreseeable future, just because I've done 2 videos on them now, and there's not really any new grips in the market that I've been after, so I hope you kind of enjoy this mini-series. If there's any new grips that come out that are really, really interesting, and for whatever reason I happen to get them, I'll review them, put up a video, and share it, but until then, if I don't come back to this, then I really hope this was helpful to you. I hope you found a grip for yourself, and if you happen to stick around, then thank you, and I'll see you in the next one.